Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Hernandez, and I am the Director of Veteran Services for Williamson County. It's a passion of mine as a veteran myself. I am the great-grandson of a World War II veteran, the grandson of a Vietnam veteran, and I am an Iraqi war veteran myself. And so thank you so much, right? Thank you all for your support. Do we have any veterans or military spouses in the room today? Thank you for your service. Military spouses, thank you for your support. As we know, May is Military Appreciation Month, along with mental health awareness. And so tomorrow is actually Military Spouse Appreciation Day. So our spouses, thank you so much for what you do. You are also supporting our military in another way, right? It's not just the veteran, it's also our families, and that's the Wilco way. We don't just focus on the veteran, we focus on the entire community. Veterans, their spouses, the surviving spouses, their children. We are here to serve the whole veteran community, and we do a fantastic job at that. With that being said, let's go into our presentation. So we have about 38,000 veterans in Williamson County, but that is old data as of 2023. I expect with my VA contacts, our new numbers are going to be around 45,000 minimum, but it's not official yet. We're still waiting for the federal GDX to be completed. Now, for our office, we are not the VA. A lot of individuals come to our office frustrated, and I need to talk to somebody, and you're the VA, and I need to express my emotions to you. You can still express your emotions. However, we're not the VA, and I always tell everybody, if you want to talk a little bit bad about the VA, I may join you. Because as a county veteran service officer, I'm 100% for the veteran community. Unfortunately, there are other agencies, there are red tape, and it's not like that. But that's the difference between the Wilco way. And so with our office, our general mission is to provide direct assistance and general assistance for pretty much all military-related benefits. Of course, our bread and butter is disability compensation and appeals, which, believe it or not, 46% of veterans here in Texas don't even know what benefits they're eligible for. 36% don't even know where to begin. In Williamson County, I can tell you that does not apply here. We have conducted over 40 outreach events just last year, and I can tell you locally, veteran suicide has decreased. I don't know the official number, but I can tell you that we have had a very positive impact. I've been the director since November of 2023, and I can tell you we've been doing some fantastic things in establishing our community partnerships with our stakeholders, such as y'all, but also our state representatives, our federal representatives, because our voice matters, right? We have a lot of complaints, but if we're not expressing them or our advocates are not representing us appropriately, how do we get issues corrected and resolved? And so that's where we come in. Once again, our BSOs, we have a team of 4, but I have a total team of 9. 3 admins on my administrative team, 4 veteran service officers, 1 grant coordinator that I'm going to talk to you about, that I'm very proud about, and then of course myself. I am also a veteran service officer, and I do take appointments as well. I don't just do presentations, go out into the community. I serve with my team as well, and I think that's important, right? That really is. I'm a firm believer of leading from the front. I think my military background kind of led me to that. Our VSOs, typically across the state, they are only state accredited and trained. Well, here in Williamson County, we go above and beyond. Our VSOs are not only state accredited by the Texas Veterans Commission, we are also nationally accredited by the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, one of about 300 across the nation. What does that mean? Well, that means we get more training, we get access to more resources, and we have direct contacts to VA personnel, and we can really get the job done and really be successful. I have a couple cases that I may bring up at the end if we have time, because I love to talk about what we do for the veteran community, my team, and knowledge is power, right? So that's where we kind of strive on, is educating the veteran community, but also advocating for them. All right, so we do so many things, and that's just a brief summary of the things that we do. So to put all of this into perspective, We assist veterans and their families with pursuing all VA benefits. That is our bread and butter. Disability compensation, education, healthcare, life insurance. Now, some things we cannot directly submit to the VA, but we can help you navigate that. I'm a firm believer in empowering individuals, so what we do at our office is we teach you how to ride that bike. You're gonna stumble, you're gonna fall, you're gonna get frustrated, and you're gonna kick it, right? But you can turn back and we'll be there to help lift you up and continue on that journey. That really is what sets us apart from the state. Because for us, we don't just give you a piece of paper and tell you to fill that out and bring it back to us. We will educate you of what's the best benefits for you. Let's have you figure out what that is, and then let's help you with that application, and we will actually help you submit that directly to the VA. Just this week, my youngest VSO, Jessica, got a veteran 100% VA disability and retro pay of $52,000. That's just one case. Our office has the largest payout for a surviving spouse in the history of Texas, $810,000 for one person. For one person. There are so many benefits available to veterans, it can be frustrating. Just like society, navigating through programs and resources and who to talk to. So think of us as the one-stop shop information. Now, I may not have all that information that you need, but I can guide you to who's the proper individual to connect you with. And as a veteran myself, clear communication channels are really important because that's where a lot of that frustration lies for many people. All right, so disability compensation, but also healthcare applications. Right now, nationally, there's 9.1 million veterans enrolled into healthcare, VA healthcare right now. There's 18 million veterans. So that means barely 50% of veterans who are eligible for VA healthcare are currently enrolled into VA healthcare. And maybe they just don't know how to start that process. Maybe they're just not educated about what does VA healthcare offer. And so that's kind of where we start that conversation, and then we guide them to that VA healthcare representative who can essentially continue that process. We've really streamlined a lot of processes for our Williamson County community. I was gonna have the video play, but because we're having some technical issues, I didn't want to play today, but you're more than welcome to go to our county department's website. We have a Wilco Veteran Experience video that we recently released that has actually real testimony from veterans that actually we served. Not paid actors, I can assure you that. What's great about our office is, yes, disability compensation, healthcare, but what about in a time of need? A loved one dies. What do I do? Is my spouse eligible as a veteran to be buried in a national or state veteran cemetery? Most of the time, the answer is yes. But unfortunately, that journey or that information is not found out until in a time of need, right? Usually that loved one has passed. Now I need to figure everything out. So what we do at our office is we encourage those conversations ahead of time. Not to be dark, but just to be educated, to empower not only our veterans, but our loved ones. What we do also is every time we get contacted that a veteran passes that we are connected with, we send their family something called a survivor's benefit packet. What that is the first letter is a personal condolence letter from our county. And a brief summary of what benefits they may be eligible for and to please contact our office. And that we have seen a really positive turnout with that, especially with our elderly community, especially those that are in more prominent neighborhoods. They think they're not eligible for benefits, and that's just not the case. Some benefits don't have an income limit. Some do. That's where we always encourage people to come have a conversation with us. Let's just start that conversation. I'm a firm believer of it's better to turn over that rock and find nothing than what if there was something there the whole time. I've been a veteran service officer since 2016, and I cannot tell you how many times I have turned out over that rock thinking there was nothing there and there was something gigantic there actually. I love positive cases. We have a very successful customer satisfaction rate right now. So y'all in the room today, even though you didn't have an appointment with me, if you went to our website, you can actually do a survey of how was my presentation today? What was good, what was bad, how can I improve? Everybody we interact with actually receives an email survey that comes into our office. So after you meet with a staff member, you actually, that client will get emailed a survey, and we ask you, we encourage you, because we want to know, right? How do we grow? And I can tell you right now, with real data from our community, we have a 99% customer satisfaction rate. In the veteran service officer world, that's almost unbelievable, but that is real data with our community. Now, of course, our veterans will also always tell us what we're doing wrong, right? And that's how we grow, though. Absolutely. Our biggest complaint right now, or concern, I don't even say complaint, is our phone calls. We have such a high reputation of taking care of our veteran community that the phones never stop. I kid you not. Even on the weekends, we get voicemails. And so we make sure to respond to that. And the county has been very supportive, of course, historically and currently, of our veteran community. And now we have additional admins to do those callbacks and those emails. So today, we're actually doing callbacks within 24 hours or less, which once again, within the veteran community can be very difficult to manage, but we're very successful at what we do. All right. So we don't just do disability compensation and healthcare, right? We talked about education, healthcare advocacy. We have a lot of partnerships with our local stakeholders. The Texas Veterans Commission has employment liaisons. As a veteran, and I'm actually a success story of that state agency, believe it or not. And so we guide them. Now, we may not have direct access into those transition services or employment services, but we guide that veteran or even that spouse. Believe it or not, the Texas Veterans Commission has a rep that assists dependents of veterans with employment. Did anybody know that in the room? Probably not, right? Knowledge is power, and that's where we come in. Community outreaches, right? I'm a firm believer of going to where the people are, educating the individuals. We've been to Taylor, Gerald, Leander. I mean, we're all over the place. Cedar Park, Round Rock, Georgetown, of course, right? But we really spread out. Florence, Thrall. We really try to expand as much as possible, and I have seen a very positive impact. I call it the ripple effect, right? The ripple effect. Because you're gonna find some information out, sir, and you're gonna say, you know what? I didn't know that. Some guy at the Citizens Academy said that, did you know the county had a free office for veterans and their families? I did not know that. And then from there, we get essentially our referrals, right? So I always encourage people to just, if you know a military community member, send them our way, just for questions or concerns. We get a lot of military parents trying to navigate the education benefits for their children, and we can actually help with that. We do have partnerships with UT of Austin, Texas State University. They're not official, but we have direct communication channels. Veteran advocacy and empowerment. Once again, knowledge is power, but also advocating for our military community. Because yes, you're gonna see veteran throughout this, but we also help active service members, National Guard, reserves. It's not just veterans. However, within the veteran community, with it being so large, that is our focus. So advocacy can be, I can't get a hold of my VA doctor and it's been 45 days. Well, sir, as you as a veteran, did you know that if the VA can't see you within 30 days per federal regulation, they have to refer you to a private organization within your local community? Did you happen to know that, sir? That's fantastic. I don't know if you saw the Senate hearing with the Secretary of the VA, but that's not happening. VA employees are not telling veterans that they can actually be referred out to civilian providers. So we have veterans right now that are waiting 6 months for a mental health appointment. Unacceptable, in my opinion, absolutely. So that's where that knowledge is power, and we really tell them, hey, go back to your provider, contact them and tell them, hey, you can't get me in within 30 days, so you have to refer me out into the community. That's something that is readily available for those veterans. They just need to know about that knowledge, right? Mental health counseling. In 2024, the Texas Veterans Commission surveyed the whole state of Texas. And they have it broken down by Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest. 3 regions said the number one priority for them was mental health resources or services. east side of Texas, they need housing assistance more for their elderly community. But the second thing as well was financial assistance. So for mental health, I'm proud to say is we actually have a formal partnership with the VA Vet Center. They have a counselor that comes out every week to provide counseling to combat veterans that suffered, unfortunately, something called a military sexual trauma, and also some of their family members. They do family counseling, and that's for a smaller demographic of veterans. And so to cover the other veterans that may not fit in those criteria, we have an informal partnership with the Samaritan Center out of Austin. They receive a grant through the Texas Veterans Commission to provide free mental health counseling to veterans, spouses, surviving spouses, and their children. That's one of the rarest grants that I have ever heard of in the state, and we have essentially been referring since I've been here with a very positive outcome. I apologize I didn't bring any of that literature, but of course I'll leave my business card, and you're more than welcome to follow up with myself or my staff, and we have a great team of 9, and they will get you connected with whatever information you would like. We also are now part of the Williamson County Homeless Coalition, the first ever for veteran services. We were part of the most recent point in time count. That point in time count essentially is where local community members go out into the community and try to identify as much of the homeless population as possible. And myself and one other staff member was out there. I think we were out there with Commissioner Cook till about maybe 11 a.m. or so. And I can tell you, homeless veterans were found in this community, and we are working to assist them. We have assisted several homeless veterans. I can tell you most of them have been a very successful case. Unfortunately, we can't always help everybody, but we always try, and that's what's important. So next, what I want to get to is something that I'm very proud of our department, but one thing that I'm very proud of is our general assistance fund that we received through the Texas Veterans Commission. So for veterans and their families that are eligible for this program, we can assist with rent, mortgage, utilities, food, even transportation, and even funeral assistance. Believe it or not, we had a surviving widow who could not afford the cremation of her loved one. But guess what? We were able to get her taken care of, and I personally helped her coordinate the burial of her loved one in Killeen, and it was a beautiful ceremony. Try not to get choked up just a little. It was just really beautiful. And for us, that's what we care about, is we believe in the human approach. We approach our veterans with empathetic eyes, ears, because their story matters. When I talk to you, I'm going to look at you in the eyes. I'm going to listen to your voice, and I'm going to guide you. If I understand what you want, this is probably the best avenue. And we can have a conversation, because at Williamson County Veteran Services, we're a team. We're there to guide you, but at the end of the day, these are our veterans' benefits, and we want to make sure they're making the best choices for themselves and their families. All right. So one thing that's not on the slide is actually we have a couple of partnerships with the county, right? So with Bridget with elections, Misty with the animal shelter, we just try to branch out as much as possible to essentially connect with our community. I'm a firm believer that animals and children and veterans are often connected, and so that's why we made those partnerships. Veterans, we care about local politics, right? They directly affect us. So that's why Bridget and I had a conversation, and then we essentially sent some veterans her way for registered. Any actually veterans register for that? Fantastic, absolutely. And that's really what it's all about. There's so much information. And so rather than, even today, right, I'm presenting so much information, you're probably going to soak up my name, and maybe that's it, right? And so that's why we always just try to have as much information readily available. We have flyers, we have brochures, our website's up to date. I really strongly encourage you to go look at our Wilco Experience video that's on our website. I really do, because I can tell you there's many offices that do great things for veterans in the state of Texas, but there's only one Wilco Experience. And I will stand on that. Yes, ma'am.
How long have you had that national accreditation?
The national accreditation has only been there since I've been there, actually. So since November of 2023, that is my team, we have revamped that office and revitalized it. And we're doing some fantastic things. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely, yes. And that's what, yes, sir.
A question on this financial assistance. So it's a one-time emergency. Does that mean one time in their lifetime or?
Great question. It's actually one time per grant period. So one time per essentially year, if you will. Count per.
And a follow-up.
Yes, sir.
Is it, how quickly can you respond, and is there a ceiling on how much you can provide?
So each case, essentially, that program is actually ran by Mr. Sean Perkins, but we talk every day about that. So there is technically no cap, but there's only so many funds. So we received this current grant. We had $210,000 to provide directly to our veterans for this assistance. So yes, there kind of is an informal cap to make sure that we can try to assist as many individuals as possible.
Would y'all pay not directly to an apartment complex?
Correct.
To the city, Town utility?
Correct. We pay directly to the vendor. We do not give the funds to the veteran. And I can tell you, Mr. Perkins is fantastic at his job. Our quota was to hit 150 served by June. We're already at 160, and we already have applications still pending. So I'm hoping that our grant gets renewed. I just submitted a request for $300,000, and we're waiting to hear back to see if that's going to be approved. But I'm really excited for this grant because we're one of 3 offices across the state that have this grant, and it also helps not only the veteran but their family members, which is crucial. It really, really is. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a client that is the spouse of a veteran, and the veteran has passed away for about a year. And so he had VA disability, and so she's like, oh, well, I don't think I qualify, and all these different things. But she's at a point where her income does not meet her basic needs of living. So is that something I could refer her over? She lives in Wayne County, so I could refer her to you.
Absolutely.
And what is that, just so I can kind of prepare her for that process? Because sometimes it's a pride thing.
Of course.
If you could set the expectation of what the call is going to be like. So when they call in, what is that call?
Yeah, so let's talk about our streamlined experience. Great question, by the way, because we have revitalized that experience. So when somebody calls us and our admin teams connect with them and they want to get set up with our office, our admin team, we have an electronic database. So we'll make a profile, we'll book them an appointment, we'll complete paperwork that will assign our office as their representative before they are even in front of a veteran service officer. That way, by the time they get here, we already have access, representation to set up, and there's already a foundation for their pursuit for benefits, if you will. Then from there, once they sit in front of a VSO, depending on what they're there for, they'll research on what benefits may be available for that surviving spouse. So for surviving spouses, there's really only 2 benefits through the VA that they're eligible for. One is called survivor's pension. That is an income. That one is income-based. That one is made by the VA for lower income of surviving spouses. Then there's another benefit called dependency and indemnity compensation. That's where that veteran was service-connected for something and either was 100% disabled for at least 8 years and passed away, or potentially passed away from something that was service-connected. So let's say a veteran wasn't service-connected for anything, served in Vietnam, and died from a heart attack. Often surviving spouses think, well, my husband or wife wasn't service-connected for anything, there's nothing to pursue. That's not the case. That is not the case, actually. I cannot tell you thousands of times I have personally assisted a surviving spouse, and that veteran was not service-connected for anything, and we were able to get her established with some benefits, actually, that DIC. Because if you can prove, even though the veteran wasn't service-connected, it was still related to their service, and it was a direct result of their passing, the VA by law will award that benefit. Yes, sir?
Let me ask you something. Now, isn't sleep apnea connected with that?
With exposures?
Yes.
So certain exposures, yes, sir, but not Agent Orange. Not Agent Orange, but yes. It's not a presumptive condition, but our office we use a lot of literature. So I always tell people you're going to get attorney level services for free. Because remember, our office, we are funded by the taxpayers of Williamson County, y'all. So we are a free service to anybody who comes to us. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
Perfect, all right.
got-
Yes, sir.
You said that you just recently submitted the 300,000, I guess, grant.
Yes, sir.
Is that basically got to go through the legislation before the end of this month?
Actually, so that's a great question. That actually goes through the Texas Veterans Commission. So that doesn't go through the legislation, that goes through the committee that they appointed to service that, which is the Texas Veterans Commission. They are our state agency that operates our veterans operations across the state. Yes, sir. Any other questions? So I want to go ahead and close with, we offer appointments not just in person, over the phone, and virtually as well. You know, we have veterans from different backgrounds. We have working veterans, retired veterans, and we really just try to make this process, at least that initial process, as easy as possible. Because as much as we can be as smooth on our side, right, the VA is often very bumpy, especially right now. I can tell you it's really important for us to advocate for our veteran community because our leaders need to know right now. Yes, sir.
Because of the current administration, is any of that federal money, or are you getting some of that federal money, something you're having to keep an eye on because there may be cuts? I know there are already cuts throughout every agency as it is.
So I can, great question, sir. So we're actually, our office receives 0 federal funds. We are county funded. Now, our grant program receives state funds, and those state funds come from the Texas Lotto. I don't know if anybody plays the Lotto or the scratch off, but you always see a portion of the proceeds go to a veteran, to go to the veteran community. And that's how we get that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but the Texas lottery may be dissolved.
That's correct. So if that happens, then we probably have some bigger issues. Yes, sir. So I don't even know if we would have a state agency at that point. Yes, sir.
Do they still have the Texas Veterans Land Act where you could?
Yes, sir.
Housing repair, buy land and.
Yes, sir, absolutely. That's called the Texas Veteran Land Board. And yes, sir, that still exists. And even as a veteran, like they have properties that you can like bid on and whatnot. Yes, that still exists and they are still prominent. And actually, they were just here in Williamson County doing a presentation, I believe, in November of last year. So that's one thing we're also doing is we're coordinating more resources to come here locally to our Williamson County community. For instance, we have the Rio Grande Legal Service Project. I'm so sorry, Connie. Okay.
Lots of questions.
Okay, yes. And so one thing is legal services or maybe a legal consultant was being highly requested from our community. So we reached out to the Rio Grande Legal Service Project, and actually they come out here every month and hold a legal seminar. Reach out to our office. It's also on our Facebook. It's not on our website. We're kind of working on publishing events and restructuring that, but expect to see that on there soon. But if you ever just want to know what events are happening around, we may not know all of them, but we know a lot of them, just give us a call. Absolutely. You're more than welcome to, one thing I do want to mention is you're more than welcome to walk in and look at our information and whatnot, but we believe in providing superior services to our veteran community. And so what we do is, once again, we do that proper onboarding because every appointment essentially is dedicated to that individual. We could take walk-ins all day if we wanted, but you're going to get 5 minutes of my time. But if I give you a dedicated appointment, I can address your questions and concerns appropriately, and typically we can get it all done in that one appointment. And it's just proper. We just believe in just treating people like people, providing superior service to our community, and just being the advocates that they rely on. Oh, absolutely, just like many of us in this room. So this is the last slide I have, essentially. If you want to make an appointment with our office, you just 512-943-1900. Let me go ahead. How do I go back? Would that be the top one?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I do want to make a mention that I apologize. That QR code is broken right now. We're working on fixing that. So that phone number is going to be the best phone number to reach our grant coordinator at. But if for some reason you lose that, just give our main office a call and we will get you connected to Sean. He is housed in our department. Once again, we have a team of 9. We do a fantastic job in serving the veteran community. And it's a pleasure to be here. And of course, I'm going to leave some business cards. Thank y'all so much for y'all's time.